Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Saturday, July 2nd at 8:20 p.m. here in Northern California. Before we get into this video today, I would like to invite you to check out my Patreon community at patreon.com/cryptogenic. First of all, I've just updated the Cryptogenic Portfolio, and there's a link to it in the description, folks. That's right. You can get the Cryptogenic Portfolio simply by clicking that link in the description. But in my Patreon community, I am going to be updating all 20 assets in the Cryptogenic Portfolio every single week going forward. That's right. Every week, I'm going to do technical analysis on all 20 of those assets, post it to the wall. I post to that wall every single day. And my Cryptogenic Patreon community is one of the best Patreon communities in the world. I'm convinced of that. So if you want to trek with this portfolio, also, I take technical analysis requests. I do TA requests from gold members and above. So if you want to trek with an awesome community as we seek to capitalize on this bear market, set ourselves up to make millions of dollars once the next bull market begins, this is a wonderful time to connect with the Cryptogenic Portfolio and the Cryptogenic community on Patreon. Also, I'm starting a promotion. I'm going to be releasing it in a few days, probably within 7 days of today. I'm going to be releasing this new promotion and telling you what it is. But the fruit of that promotion will be one lucky person is going to win a free 1-year gold membership to my Patreon. And current members of my Patreon, if you're silver, you're going to get your name put in the drawing twice. And if you're gold, you're going to get your name put in the drawing 3 times, those who participate in that promotion. You don't have to be a member of my Patreon to participate in that promotion. Anybody can participate. It's just members of my Patreon get their names put in extra times in that drawing. So I'm excited about that. Those of you who joined this month, you're going to get that benefit as well. All right, let's jump into these charts and see what we got going on the Bitcoin chart today. As we know, we are looking at an impending drop in the market, but I want to think about it. I want us to think about it a little bit differently. I want us to zoom way out and get some perspective on what is actually going on, or at least what I think is very probably going on in the market right now. The macro always gives us a bigger picture, a better perspective than the micro. And so in these moments, I think it's important for us to zoom out on the macro and take a look. Now, this is still my weekly chart, but I'm going to do something here. I'm going to draw a trend line starting at this bottom here in January 2015. I'm going to connect it to this bottom here in 2020 and see what that does to our understanding of where we are at the present. Now, what I'm going to do is see how far that trend goes back. If we see that as the line, what we see is that trend goes all the way back to 2013. Taken from this perspective, it appears that we're simply revisiting a trend line here that goes all the way back to 2013. That this is still a historic bullish trend, and we're simply coming to the historic support. Now, if you would take it from this perspective, and then we could draw a trend line here to figure out what our next target would be. All we're doing here is zooming out to say, here's what we've done, and here's the potential. Now, of course, we'd have to draw some sublines here as well, because what we might be seeing is historic diminishing returns, which means that we may never hit the top of this line here. And what we could also do is draw some lines here, or draw a line here to kind of get a picture for what could happen in the interim. I could just start there like that. All right, first of all, before we go to these outlandish targets, you know I love outlandish targets. I don't think we should be talking about crypto if we're not going to consider some outlandish targets. I think if we just stop and recognize that if you go back to 2013 and if you drew trend lines that went up to $20,000, people would have said that you were nuts, that you were a fool, and that you had just lost your credibility. So, I mean, people who don't think outlandish targets are possible, I don't even know why you're in crypto. But anyway, so what we're seeing here is that if this trend line has any validity, let's be a bit more precise, we should come down and touch right around 16,000, which is right where we're expecting to touch, actually, the 300-week moving average. It takes us right down to test the 300-week moving average. That's all that we see that's in play here. Now, of course, we can break lower. I'm not saying that we can't break lower. The 400-week moving average comes all the way down here to 12,700, and I've said before that we could be seeing a breakdown that low. But whatever we're seeing, I'll simply say that unless we break down beneath this trend and close beneath that trend and the trend line becomes resistance, this is simply a continuation of a bullish trend that we entered into in March of 2013 and have been in ever since. Okay? Now, it's also very possible that we're breaking down out of this trend, and if that's the case, Bitcoin's going to come way down. I don't think that's the case, though. I think instead, what we're probably looking at, it just wouldn't make sense to me that as we're coming into the age of mass adoption, we would be breaking down out of the bullish trend. I think we're just getting started. So if you look at it this way, I'm going to make this line solid. This now becomes a symmetrical triangle that we're either going to break above or we're going to break beneath at some point. I mean, forget about the time frame. But if we come back to touch the top of this triangle again, it's somewhere around 78,000. If we can break above it, let's say we hit here, we touch it here, and then maybe it takes us a year or two to break above it. Once we do break above it, that gives us a target that is 360% above the breakout location. Now, this is arbitrary. I don't know where we're going to break out above it, if we are going to break out above it. But if we, I mean, wherever that is, let's say it's there, let's say it's a bit sooner, that gives me a target of $380,000, which was on my original Bitcoin chart anyway. So, that being the case, when we look at it from this perspective, all is well. You know, people are saying this is the worst bear market, the worst crypto crash that we've ever seen in the history of crypto. It's not. It's nowhere near the worst. I mean, you know, I've done this in the last several videos, but this one went down 84%. This one, 86%. And so far, we've only seen 75%. So this is nowhere near the worst crypto crash, at least not yet. But this is what I'm looking at. I think we're creating a symmetric triangle here, or an ascending narrowing wedge, actually. More of an ascending narrowing wedge. The only problem with that is ascending narrowing wedges tend to be bearish. But this was an ascending narrowing wedge, and we broke bullish above it. I wonder what was going on in the RSI at the time. You can tell I'm making this up as I go along, right? Where's the RSI? Here's why we broke bullish above this ascending narrowing wedge. Because the RSI was just getting started. So whether we're going to break down or break out will be determined, in my opinion, by where the RSI is. So seeing that the RSI is at the very bottom, there's not much further we can go, folks. I mean, the RSI is down at 26.06, severely oversold. So, I mean, even if it breaks down to, 11,000, 12,000, whatever, 10,000, that's just going to be a wick, in my opinion. And we saw that here. We wicked down beneath the line all the way over here in August of 2015. And actually, that breakdown was like 12% beneath the line. So what would happen if we got a breakdown over here that was 12% beneath this line? That would take us down to 14,000. So who knows? But if you zoom out, I mean, the point of this video is that if you zoom out, all we've done is continue a bullish progression that goes all the way back, a bullish trend that goes all the way back to 2013. And we're coming to the bottom of the RSI, and every time we come to the bottom of the RSI, what goes down must come up again. So if the RSI was still in the middle somewhere here and we were just coming to this line, I would say that potentially we could break down hard from here and stay down for quite a while. But the RSI being so severely oversold as it is, it's the most oversold that we've seen in Bitcoin's history. I just don't foresee that the RSI can go down much further than it has gone. But we shall see, folks. We shall see. All right, folks, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, do yourself a favor and check out my Patreon community, the Cryptogenic community, at patreon.com/cryptogenic. Thanks so much. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do me a favor and hit the like button, leave me a comment, and above all, make it your aim to sleep in peace every night, wake in joy every morning, and walk in love every day. This is Cryptogenic, signing out.